NRI raises concerns about Konebada Petroleum Park. Morobe Provincial Government to receive final Nadzab development plan. And EMTV News Crew assaulted and intimidated by candidates' supporters.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. A Papua New Guinean think tank says the Konebada Petroleum Park could be a scam. The National Research Institute says the national government zoned 23,000 hectares of customary land to the questionable organization in February this year. NRI says it cannot determine whether the board of Konebada Petroleum Park reports to the national government.
EMTV was told that the Konebada Petroleum Park Authority has never been audited since the year 2000. The National Research Institute has done its job thoroughly, uncovering serious irregularities.
Our role is not to point out, to determine whether it's a scam or not. Our role is to research the issues and put it out there for people to make, basically inform people and for them to make that informed decision whether it's a scam or not. In this case, the issues we have presented, which we have researched and presented, are indicating that this could possibly be a scam.
Research fellow Lageo Nao says the think tank wants the Lands Department to follow due process. The Konebada Petroleum Park Authority does have a board, but it isn't known whether it reports to the National Executive Council or Kumul Petroleum Holdings.
We feel that that has been the case, and so we have asked for the government to seriously consider investigating those institutions and individuals that are involved. And also we've called for the government to consider abolishing the KPPA because of the activities it has been involved in.
The Lands Department has come out publicly saying there is nothing to worry about. The land is an economic zone and it is safe.
We want to put it straight to the people of Papua New Guinea and to NRI that it's not another scam or another land grabbing.
But the National Research Institute says the response is whitewashed. The Lands Department has to answer clearly why a shady authority is managing the land.
Back in 2016, the KPPA, the authority, already recommended to the land board to allocate land to certain individuals. So when it didn't have the powers, because the declaration had not been done in 2016, but in 2007. So if you look at it, it was done in kind of in the reverse order. So even though they didn't have authority over that land, they went ahead and recommended to the land board for that land to be allocated to certain individuals who had come to KPPA to express their interest over that piece of land.
The 23,000 hectares of land and sea given away include customary land belonging to Moitu Koitabu villages. The land boundary also includes businesses like Puma Energy, the LNG site and Edai Town. NRI says the fact that the LNG site is included makes the economic zone null and void by law. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
An EMTV crew was verbally assaulted and a senior cameraman punched and hit in the back with a 16-kilogram tripod by active supporters of a sitting Moresby MP. The mob demanded video footage the crew had been filming be deleted and threatened to assault 4 crew members in an EMTV vehicle on Loss Road. EMTV's head of news and current affairs, Neville Choi, reports.
Today at noon, an EMTV News crew out on general election news rounds was assaulted while capturing footage of a group of supporters of Moresby South sitting MP Justin Tachenko. The news crew, who were capturing how election merchandise was being effectively used, was set upon by a large group of supporters led by a local campaign coordinator who punched the EMTV cameraman recording footage. The group of men then removed the keys from the EMTV vehicle and only returned it after intimidating the cameraman into deleting all footage he had recorded. The unfortunate incident comes just hours after Electoral Commissioner Petilius Gamato called on all intending candidates and their supporters to bear in mind and follow the PNG Election Code of Conduct.
Code of conduct for the political parties are basically developed to help guide them so that they don't go and misbehave or interfere with another person. These are principles that they must abide to.
Elections in PNG have traditionally been considered a time of great risk. This time around, with a more informed voter population who have voiced strong views on issues of transparency and accountability, it seems that there is also an increase in paranoia on the part of intending candidates and more so sitting MPs. Neville Choi, National EMTV News.
Sitting Mosby South MP Justin Tichenko has expressed concern for the incident and has reassured that violence is not acceptable in any shape or form. The Morobe Provincial Government will be receiving the finalized plan for the development of the Nadzab area as an extension of Lae City. For the past 12 months, a team from the Japanese government has been working on a plan that identifies where industries, residences and services will be placed. The lesson learned from Lae's development over 50 years will also be applied to the new developments.
This is the proposed site for the new development of Lae. The valley where the Nadzab airport is located is, according to Japanese experts, ideal for the next phase of Lae's development.
With the development that will be taking place at with Nadzab redevelopment, where Nadzab airport will become an international airport, we need a more organized city development around Nadzab.
The Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, funded the creation of the plan. They've identified areas suited to light industrial businesses, residences and government services. Francis Japu, the lead officer in the project, says it's a step in the right direction for Lae.
Subject plan is basically a detailed plan of the specific areas as to what kind of services will be provided in those areas, what kind of buildings should be built in those areas, where the roads, where the public utilities will be provided. And these are the details that need to be properly done so that any application for any development complies.
The plan also works out the projected land use over 20 years and how the population growth will affect future land allocations. But there are challenges ahead. Much of the land earmarked for development is owned by customary owners. And of course, land is never a subject lightly discussed anywhere in Papua New Guinea. The process of identifying owners and creating incorporated land groups has always been a contentious issue. For some clans, work has already begun to register their land.
During the study period of this project, we've come to realize that traditional landowners will become the key stakeholders in all those developments.
Next week, JICA will be handing over the completed report to the provincial government. The report takes into account the roles of different government agencies and service providers.
And this master plan will then, from HAS, be passed to the Department of Lands and Physical Planning for the Minister for Lands and Physical Planning to table in the next sitting of Parliament.
The next big challenge is finding the money to implement it and to get the cooperation of all stakeholders to get it done. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Department of Works ran a one-day workshop focusing on road safety issues in Lae today. This was in conjunction with the launch of their Safe Traffic Control Roadworks Manual. This comes at a time when many road networks in the country are posing risks for users and works crew alike.
This group is part of the Works Department's efforts to raise safety standards for work crews and road users. They comprise of members from the private and government sectors. The Works Department says maintenance and safety have equal priority.
I'd like to appeal to especially the road designers. We have a number of stakeholders or agencies that are in charge of designs of safer roads. And I think City Authority, City Councils and Department of Works, we are one.
It's easier said than done. when some road networks like the infamous Tunnel Road at Manyamya district need constant repair, while other places like the Kabum district do not have any road link. But it's a delicate balance for a department that has been revived from 2 decades of neglect.
Currently, about 80–90% of our roadworks in the northern region, that's Morobe, Medang, East Sepik, West Sepik, and Eastern Islands, those activities are heavily funded by the Australian government.
Going into the elections, taxpayers and voters see road maintenance as a big-ticket item. Harry Gimbari, National EMTV News, Leh.
National EMTV News will be back with more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Supporters of candidates contesting the Goilala Open seat in Central Province will face many challenges during polling. The people of Goilala, many of whom are in the city, have been urged by their candidates to return home. During his campaign launch, Gilbert Goy, a candidate under New Generation Party, said he would address bad road conditions in the district.
While Tapini Station may have a road leading to the station, recent weather patterns have made the road a hazard and most drivers won't risk it. The road was the reason why nominations were done in Port Moresby at the Central Provincial Headquarters. Gilbert Goy, a candidate for Goilala running under the New Generation Party banner, urged his supporters to return to Goilala to vote.
But I will build a new road. I guarantee you that. The party has already said they will support me.
Another candidate who was also attending Gilbert Goy's campaign launch, John Mona, brother of former member for Goilala, late Daniel Mona, urged Goilala residents to not be a part of campaigns for Port Moresby electorate candidates, but to go back to Goilala.
Identity, you as a Goilala, identity, stop law, please. I don't like this big show, na you go supporting more candidates, NCD seats, South, East, West, regional seat, NCD, Kayuguiri. Yes, of course, we reside here. But out of 111 seats on the floor of Parliament, there's only one seat. That seat is called a Goilala Open seat. That's your identity, so go back home.
Meanwhile, New Generation Party President Professor Thaddeus Kambane assured the people of Goilala if NGP would be a party that would form government, fixing the road to Tapini Station would be a priority.
New Generation Party is in charge of government. Road along Goilala, come down along main market highway. I mean, number one priority for you along government this time.
A total of 19 candidates are vying for the Goilala seat. Of the 19, one is a woman candidate. Adelaide Sirax-Kari, National EMTV News.
The returning officers for the 9 districts in Morobe are preparing their offices for polling, which begins on the 24th of June and ends on the 8th of July. But the returning officer for Bulolo, Raune Jombert, says the district is in need of police assistance due to the bad behavior of few candidates and their supporters. In Tewai Siasi district, PNG Defence Force personnel are already on the ground to assist with election awareness.
Returning officer for Bulolo district, Raune Jombert, said the need of security is a major concern. He said few candidates and supporters in the district are causing disorder and violence during this campaign period. The returning officer called on the candidates and supporters to focus on leadership rather than criticism and discrimination. And in Leh, the Electoral Commission officers in the district have finalized the temporary election workers who would be trained in few weeks' time as polling and counting officials, including the candidate scrutineers. While this is progressing, returning officer for Leh, Daniel Wasinek, appealed to candidates to refrain from discriminating other candidates. He said the candidates should also educate their supporters to do the same until return of writs on the 24th of July. In Manyamya district, the returning officer, Mande Awape, says with the current road conditions, there is a possibility of delays in delivering election results effectively. Awape also stated that there was an incident that election officials are being threatened by candidates. He said actions will be taken against these candidates once a full report is finalized. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
A grade 8 student was amongst members of the law and justice sector who underwent a workshop on family and sexual violence in Lorengau, Manus Province. 17-year-old Martha Anis from the Pitilu Island says the increase in FSV cases in the province prompted her to attend the training. Manus PPC Senior Inspector David Yapu said the command is working on addressing FSV cases in Manus. The participants were taught how to prepare cases for prosecution, interviewing victims and giving advice to perpetrators. Participants include police and correctional officers, lawyers and members of the magistral services and town authorities. The workshop was officially closed this afternoon by Police Commissioner Garibaki. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.307, $0.4148 Australian dollars, $0.2799 euro and 34.79 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee closed higher, gold, cocoa and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed the day lower, while crude oil is trading higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 32.67 points lower, the ASX closed at 39.7 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 35.8 points higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, a family has been left devastated and the Australian Defence Force searching for answers following a young soldier's tragic death. Jason Chalek is the second soldier killed this week. All combat training exercises have been suspended while investigations are carried out.
Challis left his childhood home here in Geelong in February to move with the Army to Darwin. He joined the Army in July last year and his parents have told me today it's what he's always wanted to do. Sadly, yesterday, though, he was shot and killed during a training exercise on the Mount Bundy base about an hour out of Darwin. He's the second soldier to die in a training exercise in a week, and the Army has now suspended all of its training operations while it reviews procedures. Jason Challis had spoken to his parents the night before he died, telling them he was excited to be part of this live fire exercise. This base is where the Australian military conducts many of its large-scale operations, in particular the operations it conducts in conjunction with United States military personnel. His parents have told me they have very few details about how and why their son died, that the Army has yet to provide all of the circumstances of his death. And it's clear that Jason Challis was very much loved and admired by a wide circle of family and friends here in Geelong, many of whom have paid tribute online to him today as a cheeky guy and an awesome mate. His death is now being investigated by not only the Army but also Northern Territory Police.
A young British man who tried to assassinate Donald Trump has been released from jail and is back home with his family. His mother says it is lucky her mentally ill son wasn't shot by police after he dived for an officer's gun.
Captured by a police body camera, this is the moment Michael Sandford emerged from the crowd of Donald Trump supporters at a rally in Las Vegas. The 20-year-old talks to an officer and then lurches forward and tries to grab his gun before he's wrestled to the ground. These pictures of him being frog-marched out of the building.
Thank you, officers.
Were beamed around the world.
He was very, very lucky that they didn't shoot first and ask questions later. So I think we all realise what a remarkable escape he had.
Later, handcuffed and under arrest in the car park, Michael would tell officers he tried to assassinate the future president because he believed he's a racist and needed to be stopped.
Everyone's entitled to say what they want to say. Freedom of speech. Okay, you know what? Then you need to change the Constitution. How do you think racism is correct?
At his court hearing, Michael would admit illegal possession of a firearm and disrupting government business. He could have faced 20 years behind bars, but under a plea bargain deal, he was sentenced to a year and a day and was released last week. His family were at Heathrow Airport to welcome him home.
Hi, Jessie. Hi. You're feeling a bit overwhelmed now?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
But happy to be home?
Yeah, very happy, extremely happy.
Now he's back home, the focus is on restoring his mental health.
Donald Trump has defended his decision to sack FBI Director James Comey, saying he simply was not doing a good job. But critics believe the president's decision was politically motivated, with growing concerns of a cover-up.
Outside the White House, protesters warned America is lurching towards a constitutional crisis. Trump sacked James Comey days after the FBI director reportedly asked for more money to investigate the administration's ties to Russia.
Why did you fire Director Comey?
Because he wasn't doing a good job, very simply. He was not doing a good job.
The White House went into full damage control mode, saying there is no Kremlin connection.
That's not what this was about. The president took strong and decisive leadership here to put the safety and security of the American people first.
But as the president is accused of trying to shut down the investigation, today he met the Russian foreign minister.
The Comey firing cast a shadow over your talks, gentlemen.
Was he fired? You are kidding. You are kidding.
Who pretended not to know about the sacking that has sent shockwaves across the US government.
It certainly appears today that this administration is trying to stop this investigation from following the facts where they may lead.
The administration claims Comey had gone rogue and was destroying the reputation of America's fabled FBI.
The president, over the last several months, lost confidence in Director Comey.
But the president repeatedly praised Comey on the campaign trail.
And it took guts for Director Comey to make the move that he made in light of the kind of opposition he had.
By sacking James Comey, President Trump has now made a potentially dangerous enemy. Already, the US Congress wants to hear from the former FBI director to find out what he knows about the still ongoing investigation.
Australian health experts say strokes could be prevented by routine screening for heart conditions. New technology has been launched to test for arterial fibrillation, which causes a third of all strokes.
It's been a 10-year battle to get to this. Thanks to rehab, 56-year-old Lindy Cook is walking and more independent after suffering a major stroke in 2008.
It was terrible. I couldn't eat or sit up straight or walk.
2 clots in Lindy's heart broke off and travelled into her brain. The cause, an irregular heartbeat, a condition called atrial fibrillation, or AF for short.
I think most people don't realise that AF causes a third of all strokes, and it tends to be strokes at the severe end.
Sydney professor Ben Friedman co-founded a group of international experts pushing for routine screening of the often silent condition.
Many older people, when I say older, sort of in their 60s, 70s or 80s, have AF without being aware of it.
While an ECG machine is the standard for diagnosis, a surge in easy-to-use, more affordable technologies can pick up the problem in just 30 seconds to a minute. Experts say government incentives are needed for GPs to routinely screen once a year.
The spike in children on medication for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, is causing alarm, with some health experts saying society is too focused on a quick fix. But the effectiveness of non-drug treatments like play therapy are showing promise.
13-year-old Dylan Piper was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is a mental health condition, when he was 6. He struggles to concentrate, and that can lead to him being disruptive. His mood swings are controlled by medication, so he can continue to go to school.
If I was able to do or give him anything else, I would in a heartbeat not have him on medication. However, right now, we don't have any other option.
The use of medication for children like Dylan is the focus of a new international study. This report tells us that more children and young people are being prescribed medication for ADHD and suggests that some may be taking the drugs for longer periods of time. Doctors like Professor Alka Huja have to follow strict guidelines surrounding the diagnosis and treatment of ADHD. Medication is effective, but it isn't advised as the first option, except in the most serious of cases.
as a society, I think our tolerance is going down. You know, as far as behaviour is concerned, we want instant fixes. So, you know, there is a lot of pressure to often medicalise behaviour.
So how are they going to work together? Play therapy is one alternative to medication. It can help children gain the coping skills they need.
It's much harder to get funding for a child to like themselves than it is to get funding for a medication that stops a child punching their mum 10 times a day. Is the truth. But the long-term impacts of the medication are still not fully uncovered.
Dylan's family are investigating other ways to help him alongside the medication. Increasingly, parents and health professionals say they are concerned about the condition becoming over-medicalised.
True Sports is next. Stay tuned for details.
True Sports.
Welcome to True Sports. To football, an embarrassing situation involving the PNG men's national football team occurred yesterday when the squad was prevented from training at the Bicini grounds in Port Moresby. This followed claims made by PNG Sports Foundation that PNGFA had failed to make payments for the use of the facility. These, however, have been refuted by PNG's football body. Attempts to contact PNG Football Association and PNG Sports Foundation were unsuccessful. The PNG side will face Solomon Islands next month in their World Cup qualifier campaign. Harvey Norman is the official major sponsor for the Women's Rugby League World Cup. That's the announcement from the organising committee. The Women's World Cup games will be played simultaneously with the Rugby League World Cup.
The Rugby League International Federation confirmed that Australia, Canada, Cook Islands, England, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea will be competing in the Women's Rugby League World Cup 2017. Harvey Norman will be entitled to brand integration through on-field grass logos and in stadia signage at Southern Cross Group Stadium in Cronulla, where the pool stage and semi-finals will be contested from 16th November to 26 November 2017. The Rugby League World Cup 2017 Organising Committee acknowledged the New South Wales Government, Queensland Government and Federal Government for their assistance in the Rugby League Women's World Cup. PNG Women's Rugby League team Regianas will play England in round 1, Canada in round 2 and New Zealand in round 3. The first game for the women's competition will be contested between New Zealand and Canada. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
In netball, the Port Moresby Association played out round 2 of the Premier Division last evening at the Rita Flynn Indoor Courts. Playing in Tiers 1 and 2 were the Vepunamas, who defeated Mona, while defending champions Paramana succumbed to a strong Sparrows outfit.
Defending champions Paramana this time had challenging opposition from the CC Sparrows. The first quarter saw goal for goal but at a slow pace. It ended with an 8-7 score count in favour of the Paramanas. The second quarter saw a growing margin as the Sparrows recorded 16 on the score sheet while their opponents 12. The competition gained momentum in the second half when the Sparrows upped their speed and secured 30 points in just the third quarter, leaving Paramana on 23. The highlight for the Sparrows came in the last quarter with a total of 43 goals, giving them an accumulative of 96, while Sparrows trailed behind on 71. Meanwhile, Vepunama were on fire with a 91-71 victory over Mona. Though the first quarter ended on a 10-all scoreline, but the second quarter saw a change in approach for the Vepunamas, who attacked faster, putting the Monas under pressure. That quarter ended on 17 points to 14 in favour of the Vepunamas. Despite recovery efforts from Mona, the second half saw them settling for a 12-point deficit, and the Vepunamas walked away with a 91 points victory. And in the other matches earlier last evening, CP Rebels defeated Raukele 51 points to 40, while Snacks Mermaids were the stronger team, beating Telstar 69-33. Round 3 matches will be played next Wednesday at the same venue. Dini Rose Raiko, National, EMTV Sports.
True Sports will be back after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The SP Sports Awards nomination finalists were announced today here in the nation's capital. This year is the annual event's Silver Jubilee, and it will be no different from the last 24 years, where it has given recognition to outstanding individuals and teams in PNG sporting fraternity.
12 categories, 34 nominations have been made, and 12 or 13 winners will walk away with the respective awards on the 27th of this month during the SP Sports Awards night. The categories are as follows: Male and Female Athlete of the Year, Team of the Year, National Performance of the Year, Community Sports Initiative, and Junior Male and Female Athlete of the Year, Best Official of the Year, Sports Photo of the Year, Sports Media Award, and People's Choice of the Year. During the announcement, certain codes stood out as having a number of nominations in different categories. PNG Cricket, for one, has the national men's team, the Hebo PNG Barramandis, nominated for the Team of the Year category. Their captain and the region's leading batsman, Asad Vala's name came up under the Male Athlete of the Year category, and even the development program, Girls Empowerment Through Cricket, was nominated for the Community Sports Initiative of the Year. While the SPPNG Hunters were also nominated for the Team of the Year, coach Michael Marum was nominated for the Official of the Year, and former Hunter and current Melbourne Storm winger Justin Olam was also nominated for the Male Athlete of the Year category. MTV Sports Coverage has been nominated once again for its contributions to sports news in 2016 under the Sports Media Award category. For the People's Choice Award, 4 top categories, Male and Female of the Year, Team and National Performance of the Year nominees are now up for voting via FM 100's SMS voting system.
We received many nominees. Unfortunately, it comes down to the 3 finalists, but I want to thank every one of those nominees and the people nominating them. I think it's an achievement in just being nominated. It shows that those nominated are being recognized for their achievements and the role that they play in officialdom of some of those sports.
Meanwhile, rugby league legend Wally Lewis will be the special guest on the awards night.
I'm looking forward to meeting you all at the 2017 SP Sports Awards Nights. See you in Port Moresby.
Vinny Rose Ryko, National MTV Sports.
To international football, Real Madrid's Zinedine Zidane praised his team's efforts after the reigning European champions reached the Champions League final with a 4-2 aggregate win over rivals Atletico Madrid.
Why not? He scored 5 of the 6 goals.
Real Madrid survived an Atletico Madrid onslaught to reach the Champions League final, losing 2-1 on the night, but going through 4-2 on aggregate to set up a mouth-watering clash against Juventus.
Real Madrid's line, they have done so.
Atletico roared into 2-goal lead with Saul Niguez's header and Antonio Griezmann's penalty, but Isco notched in the 42nd minute to dampen their hopes of a comeback.
Again, that's a lower possession.
Real have now eliminated Atletico from the competition in 4 consecutive seasons, including the dramatic 2014 and 2016 finals. Zinedine Zidane's side become the first team to retain the Champions League when they take on Juventus in the final in Cardiff on June 3rd. Shane Soroya, National MTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, cloudy periods in Port Moresby and Daru, fine in Kerema, and fine although cloudy at times in Alotau and Popondetta. In the Mamase region, partly cloudy with chance of few showers tonight in Lae, few showers in Medang, cloudy with a chance of morning rain in Wewak, and fine although cloudy at times in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy periods in Lorengau, fine although cloudy at times in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, passing showers, then partly cloudy in Kimbe and becoming cloudy with chance of few showers tonight in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods, then morning fog developing in all centres. Forecast for small ships for tonight and tomorrow. Strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, including Finschhafen through Vitiaz Strait, to Siasi Island, to Long Island, to Medang, to Bogia. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Hood Point to Samari Island, waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Samari Island to Cape Vogel, to Finschhafen, waters of Bogia to Wewak, to Aitape, to Vanimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border, and waters of New Ireland to East and West New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz Strait, Dampier Strait including Siasi Island to Long Island, to Medang to Bogia, seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas. In the Coral Sea, seas rather rough to rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight to rather rough with southeast winds at 10 to 25 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. Now recapping our main stories for tonight. PNG think tank raises concerns about Konebada Petroleum Park. Morobe Provincial Government to receive final Nadzab development plan. And EMTV News Crew assaulted and intimidated by candidate supporters. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire EMTV News Crew, pleasant viewing. Good night.